This lesson will be on understanding percent. We're going to understand what a percent means and why they are so commonly used. We'll also look at how to convert fractions into percents so that they're easier to work with and understand. Here's an example of percents being used to show the parts of a whole. In this case, total sales of a bakery selling different flavors of pie. We can see here that 22% of the sales are apple pie. Blueberry pies account for 16%, etc. So that's one example of percents. Here's another one. Test scores. We often see test scores given as a percentage of the total questions on the test. So in this case, the student got 7 out of 9 test questions correct, and that works out to 78%. People just have a lot easier time understanding that 78% is a C+. 7/9, you wouldn't really be sure. Here's another good example. We often see percents used in the case of stores putting things on sale and giving a discount as a percentage off of the original price. So in this case, the refrigerator is 35% off, which means you don't pay 35% of the original price. You're going to pay the other 65%. Okay, so now let's keep moving along here. Let's look at giving a definition to the word percent. So what I like to do is break it down into two parts. Per, which we know from studying ratios, simply means out of. Like 3 out of 4 or 12 out of 20. Okay? And then, of course, the second part of the word cent, well, let's think about some words with that word in it, cent. How about century? How many years in a century? 100, right? How many centimeters in a meter? 100. And you guessed it, cent is just going to mean 100. So the word percent just means out of 100. So in the case of something like 30%, this would mean 30 out of 100. Now let's try finding some percents when we're given a fraction. So this first fraction here, 3/100. Well, we know that to mean 3 out of 100. So all we need to do is write this one as 3%, which also means 3 out of 100. Okay, let's look at this one. Here again, 27 out of 100. When it's 27/100, just rewrite it as 27%. Okay, 3/10. Now what are we going to do about this? This is 3 out of 10, not 3 out of 100. But when we have a number like 10 that is a factor of 100, we can just multiply the top and the bottom by the number that will give us 100 on the bottom. So we get 30/100, which we now know to mean 30%. Okay, let's do one more here. 3/25. Well, we know that 25 is also a factor of 100. 25 times what gives us 100? 4. So we're going to times this one by 4/4. And we will get, let's see, 12/100, which we now know to mean 12%. So that's how we find percents given a fraction. when the fraction is a factor of 100. Now I want you to try these three. So go ahead and pause it, and when you're all done with these three, turn it back on, and we'll check your answers. Okay, are you guys back? All right, 18 hundredths. Well, that's an easy one. 18%, right? 8 twentieths. Well, let's see. 20 times 5 is 100. So I'm going to get 40 hundredths. I don't know why it does that. Or 40%. Okay, 9 tenths. 10 times what gives me 100? 10 times 10, right? So here we're going to get, 90 hundredths or 90%. Okay, that's how we work with with converting fractions to percents. And I think you can see that percents are just easy to understand and easy to work with because they're always out of the same amount, out of 100. So it becomes very standardized, and that's why we like to use them. And that's a reason why when you're doing social science or science, you want to give your data as percents rather than as fractions or decimals, because people just have an easier time understanding them.